in the end, we have to make a decision: do we support the referendum or not? And I'm 60 years old. You know, I look at this and I think, how does this benefit me directly? The fact of the matter is, it doesn't. Except for if I step back a little bit and say, in broader terms, does it matter? How much does education matter? I look at China and India, and I know that they're putting more and more money into their people and their education because they know that that's the future of their economies. It's no different here in the United States. I manage a manufacturing company, and we have great jobs and great benefits, but we would need a very highly skilled workforce. And we have exactly 12 jobs out of 100 for which high school diploma is enough. 88 jobs out of 100 require technical college background or university background. And so we've got lots of baby boomers that are going to be retiring out of the workforce across the board, not just our company, others, and we're going to need a very well-educated workforce. And so you're our pipeline for that. And so suddenly this referendum makes more of a difference for me. And then I have to say, what about this community, the vibrancy of this community? No offense, Dr. Gellner, but your hair is the same color as mine, and I need someone around 20 years from now to take care of me. And I'm hoping that some of these students that graduate from here go to medical school and come back and be doctors in Spooner. And I hope our community is desirable enough because of our school system and kind of what our community says to our youth, that says, we care about you, education matters, you're worth investing in. And I look at this and I say, what does that amount to? If I have a $100,000 house, it's a Happy Meal a month. It's a Happy Meal a month that you're asking us for us. And so I think, is that worth it? There's a quote that says, our children are the living message we send to a future that we will never see. And so the decisions we make now have an impact on the future of these kids after we're long gone. And if I'm wrong, and I do support this referendum, if I'm wrong, I could have had an extra Happy Meal a month. But if those who are against it are wrong, they've stifled the futures of lots of our kids. And I think for the cost of a Happy Meal a month, this is a no-brainer. Thanks.
You said about the positions that will be cut. Are those also going to be cut according to attrition? Are you going to try to do that?
We try to cut according to attrition, but we have to cut according to program. For example, National Honor Society students that tutor other students, and we do have, well, you can go. It's your point.
We have a great teacher's assistant program through the elementary school. I know the middle school uses as well, and the children, or the students from the high school actually come to the elementary school and work with our kids. They do an awesome job. It's really neat to see that, you know, what they had gotten in elementary school, now they're passing it on to these kids. And we do use that. We take advantage of that. I see it throughout the day, I'm going to say maybe 10 to 15 different high school students coming into our building. And this does help us in not having to use aids and those types of things. Plus, it's preparing those kids, those high school students. A lot of these kids came in, they didn't know what they wanted to do, and now they're saying, I'd like to be a teacher. And that's really great. So, great suggestion. Changes the way that we instruct the younger kids. And the reason that we do have it is if you know, things aren't going real well when they're growing up, we can touch more kids' lives on a more individual basis. I know that our instruction changes as far as teachers. Like, we will have smaller groups, for instance, while the other kids are working on other activities. The teacher can work one-on-one or one-on-4, and it's more manageable than having, let's say, 30 kids in your classroom when you're trying to work with 2 or 3 students, and you have another 25 students that you're trying to work with. It's nearly impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult to do, and there's a lot of different training you'd have to go for that. So we've really taken advantage of the SAGE program as far as our teachers. If you ever come into our classrooms, you'll see a lot of busy things going on, but if you go to different groups of students that are working with each other, because of SAGE, they're working amongst themselves as though they're going to be working on the workforce someday, instead of just sitting in rows, which you basically, as a teacher with 30 kids in your classroom, especially kindergarten students, you basically have to have them that way. And it's really difficult to reach one-on-one. They're still going to learn, and we're still going to do the best that we can do. We will do it, but it's harder as a teacher to get close to them and give them that little extra that they need. And that's what we can do with SAGE, and that's what we do. Right? This is like, but that's what we accomplish. And the teachers are absolutely wonderful. If you come down to elementary school, they are in the middle school, they are in the high school. What I'm speaking is elementary school. If you watch, there's so much learning going on in there because of the SAGE program. Thanks.
For those of you who are pretty good in mathematics, you're looking at teacher-student ratio in geometric terms. When you have one teacher and one student, simple enough. Add one more student. You then have a triangle. The students converse with each other, and each one separately with the teacher. Now, each time you add another student to a classroom, you're expanding that geometric ratio. You can't imagine. And this is the problem that the classroom teacher faces every day. Imagine what it's like when you've got 30 to 35 people, youngsters, in a classroom coming from different socioeconomic situations, homes, and whatever. Blows your mind out. And yet, the challenge is to instruct each one. Pretty tough. Try it sometime. Thank you.
Thanks. The same difficulties that we are. And do you have a task force that's out there trying to find out what other people are doing? Can we do what they're doing? Can we share resources? Can we do anything that's creative to protect the kids? And I think everybody wants the kids protected. They're the most innocent people of all. I don't know how we got into this mess, but it is a budget problem. And we can keep going back to the community every 3 years, every 4 years, and asking for more, but at some point the well's going to dry. I don't know whether it will be this year, or next year, or in 4 more years, or in 8 more years. Who knows? I don't want the kids to get hurt. Certainly I have 2 kids in the system. I want them to be the best they can be. And they can't do that if we're going to hurt them. We need to provide more for them. So I'm trying to think of something creative. What task force do you have, what anything do you have to reach out to others to say, hey, are you in the same boat? What can we do together? What are you doing that we can steal? What are we doing to help you? Like, maybe we can partner with Shell Lake in some way. Instead of being adversarial with one another, we can embrace them. What can you tell me about that?
I'm involved in regional meetings and area meetings very often with other superintendents. They're going through many of the same things that we're going through. Generally, I get a lot of information from similar-sized districts from my Heart of the North meetings where this is a regular topic. And at CISA meetings on what's going on in the area, we share a lot of information and come up with ideas on what types of services we can share, what one person is paying for a service compared to what we're paying for a service. Can we share personnel? That type of thing does come up very often. Mr. Markin, you can speak to.
Well, we belong to the Wisconsin Association of School Boards, and we were just in Milwaukee last week for the annual convention. And it seems like everybody's almost in the same boat, unless you're a border city with Minneapolis. They're doing just fine because they're getting a lot of students. But most districts have basically the same problem that we have. And it's fun to get together and talk to other people, but it doesn't always solve anything, but it gets moving on some things anyhow.